You better say your prayers, you flea-bitten varmint. I'm gonna blow you to smithereens.
You do that and I'll kill you.
Good evening, metalheads, and welcome to another exciting evening of Bullshitting with Bob. On tonight's show, I have a special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, a man of many hats, jack of all trades, master of them all. I have Happenin Harry from Happenin Harry and the Haptones. Welcome aboard, brother.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing?
So how things over in SoCal?
Oh, I like wherever I am. So, yeah, it's great.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your background and get you up to the here and now. Now, you've been promoting on the Sunset Strip roughly 20 plus years, correct?
21 years this week.
And you've also been jamming with the Haptones that long, too?
Yeah, the way this whole thing started was there was a club called the Central on the Sunset Strip. And the owner's daughters basically said, Harry, we can't sell this place to save our lives. You know, it's been on the market forever. Can you do something just to raise some awareness to the club? And I said, sure. You know, so I put together the Haptones. And the original lineup of the Haptones was myself, Alex Kane from Life, Sex, and Death and Anti-Product.
Oh, right on.
KC from drummer in Nitro, Mike Arms from Mind Bomb, and Jimmy O'Shea from Cacophony and Eyes. And basically it was a bunch of us guys from Chicago who just got together, played a bunch of T-Rex and Cheap songs. And then every week developed into a bigger celebrity audience. And before you knew it, the all-star band started having about 50 rotating members from different walks of life in the music industry.
Wow. Now, you have special guests that pop in from time to time, too, correct?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
And what are some of the special guests that you've had recently?
Well, I used to do a bi-weekly event with the Haptones up until a little over a year ago. Now I've been doing around once a month. Just because there's other things going in my life and I've been busy. So, you know, I basically put it together when I feel like singing. The last one we did was my birthday party last month, or actually end of August, or middle of August. We had Billy Sheehan playing bass.
Wow.
Nick Lucero from Queens of the Stone Age and Peter Murphy's band. Scott Warren from Heaven and Hell and Dio. A bunch of people. It was a good time. Big John from Rock of Love got up and sung a song with us. Meeks from Cold Chamber.
That is pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
I spoke with Billy Sheehan, matter of fact, a few times over the years. I had him as a friend on MySpace, and we share a mutual friend, a buddy of mine, Neil Bertrand, from Louisiana, where I'm originally from, and he's one of those style bass players, you know, polyphonic, contrapuntal, doing all over the neck, kind of bass players tapping and all that, and through David Harbour, who played with King Diamond for a while, he met Billy. And Billy's a really cool guy.
Gotcha.
He's a very laid-back dude.
Billy's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. From, you know, it's funny because I met Billy by default through being a UFO fan. When I was really, really young, growing up in Chicago. And I had heard that Pete Way had left UFO, and this guy, Billy Sheehan, replaced Pete Way. So when Talus came through Chicago, they played a little club called Broadway Jacks. And I believe a band called E-Trope opened that was a Chicago band, a metal band, a really good one of the more popular ones in town. And I remember I was one of 20 people there, and I stood there with my arms crossed waiting for Talus to take the stage, wondering who this guy that replaced my hero in UFO was.
Right.
Little did I know that Billy was just the next bass hero in the world, you know, and innovative beyond belief to all bass players and musicians alike. So I'm standing there with my arms crossed, and then Talus comes out. Billy starts playing and singing, and I'm like, holy shit.
That dude's insane.
I was a 13 or 14-year-old kid that hung out in the parking lot waiting to meet Billy Sheehan after the show. when I also met Michael Faley, who was road managing Talus, who's now the president of Metal Blade. And Billy and I and Michael have known each other ever since.
Wow.
A big Billy supporter throughout the years, and you know, I'm really grateful that Billy even considers sharing a stage with me from time to time when he's in town. It's an honor.
I can imagine. I mean, someone of, I don't know, that magnitude, just, and it's amazing for everything he's done throughout his musical career, for the guy to be that humble. You know, he's very, very grounded.
I could probably name about, I could probably use both hands and 10 fingers to name how many people have not changed in the past 30 years since I met them. And Billy's one of them. He's just an amazing individual. And, you know, he's never been greedy or selfish or.
And he's all about his fans too. You know, if a fan has a question, he will take the time to answer it. You know, I caught Talus way back when, and he was there signing autographs. Guy's just super incredibly nice.
Yeah, he's not only am I a fan of everything he does, but you know, I can't overwhelmed and grateful that, you know, Billy has been such a big supporter of everything I've done since we've met. I really can't put it into words. He's just an amazing guy.
Now, let's go back through a little bit further in your history. Let's see. Second City Training Center.
That's actually fast forwarding.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's 97.
In the late 80s, C.C. DeVille introduced me to Sam Kinison and brought me down to the studio to sing backup vocals on a track, Mississippi Queen, that he remade from Mountain.
Oh, wow.
And through meeting Sam, who also, I can't put into words how grateful I am for being in his life the short amount of time he was here, was one of the most generous people I've ever met in the industry. And he didn't owe me anything, you know, and him and Cece put me in the studio and I recorded with some really big names and then put me on stage with him live after his set to do the All-Star Jam that he did in Vegas. And through being surrounding myself around idols like Sam Kinison, who are some of him, Carl LeBove, Mitch Walters, even C.C. DeVille, Jimmy Schubert, Carl LeBove, all the outlaws of comedy across the board, as a teenager, is overwhelming because you're exposed to the funniest people in the universe. It's really hard to make me laugh these days because I was exposed to this greatness at such a young age.
That's understandable.
Through hanging out in that scene, aside from the music, and these amazing comedians, as well as my Chicago upbringing, and, you know, just idolizing John Belushi and guys like that who came from Chicago, the Chevy Chases, the Bill Murrays, you know, the whole SNL crew from the early days. At the age of 25, I left LA when I was at the top of my game, and I left everything behind. And I went to Chicago to attend Second City.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was
and
that?
And I'll be honest with you, I don't regret it one bit. I would recommend their training course to anyone in any capacity of any business. You don't have to want to be a comedian or an actor. It really helped me find a lot about myself that it was very therapeutic. I'll put it that way. It's very therapeutic.
So when you're going through the different courses, it's almost like a soul search in a way, right?
No, that was just my experience. Not everybody goes there for that. You know, that's just the experience I ended up with. And it really helped me in terms of communicating with other people, not being the most important person in the room all the time. You know, because, you know, you go to Hollywood long enough and you do enough in Hollywood and you succeed long enough in Hollywood, you do build a sense of grandiosity about yourself, comparing yourself to the other person who's not as cool or not as important or not as helpful or whatever. You know, it really humbled me. You know, I went there, Hollywood on my shoulders, and I left there like everyone else who went there to learn.
Awesome.
Yeah. It was very therapeutic. It was like rehab without drug dependency. They really have a way of making you look at yourself to find out your full potential and unmasking all the bullshit and the facade you throw forth on a daily basis.
I can see that. What I meant by soul search, I mean, and a comedian or actor or anyone in that facet, in my mind, it makes me think that there has to be a certain amount of soul searching to be able to dig out a certain character or to be able to perform on a stage. Like I said, that's just my take on it.
Yeah, well, I'm a recovering Catholic, so when
and me too.
When I put words into perspective, I couldn't tell you what a soul is because I haven't seen one. So I can't really look for something I don't think I'll find. You know, more than anything, you know, it's just I take what tools I get in life, regardless if it's second city or not, and I know the difference between right and wrong. And if something is wrong, then I do what I can to fix it. You know, and that's that. It's a pretty simple equation that I live by, and you know, I don't have to worry about having a good memory. It's that simple. You know.
Now, how long were you at Second City?
I was there for a couple of years. In the interim, I had to find a way of income because money wasn't flowing in like it did when I left LA, you know.
Right.
So, you know, I stretched it out over a couple of years and basically did other things for work in the meantime. You know, I produced a radio show on WLUP, The Loop.
Okay.
The Liz Wild show. Maybe she's listening. I don't know. Liz, are you there? Say hi. I don't hear her. I did a lot of marketing and promotion for different companies like Formula One Racing, Adidas, Gatorade.
Wow.
AT&T. Did a lot of event management and promotion for a lot of big companies while I was there. I built up quite a resume, I'll be honest with you. You know, because in LA, all I have to do is be myself and do the Happenin Harry show, and that's all I basically had to go by. You know, but when I went back to Chicago to attend Second City for a few years, I built up quite the resume and learned the corporate side of things. And of course, I'm not corporate anymore.
Now, how did you get into promoting and doing things like that on the Strip?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the owner of the Central had two daughters, and they asked me to help them out because the club was losing money. They wanted to sell it. They couldn't get it on the market, so they asked me to come in and do a weekly thing. So I put the Haptones together, did an all-star jam. Eventually, local bands wanted to play on the night because it started to be successful. And then guys like Billy Sheehan, Paul Gilbert, Zach Wilde, the Killer Dwarfs, Jason Bonham. I could go on forever. The London Choir Boys. Everybody came to play at this night or the week at the Central for me. You know, and then about 6 months later, a guy named Johnny Depp bought the club. Now it's the Viper Room.
Wow. That's huge.
And I kicked right out of there. Hey, Harry, I got a letter. I remember. I think I still have it somewhere. Harry, thanks for all your help. I want to let you know we sold the club, and this is your last week.
Well, that's kind of sudden.
Yeah, and and the following week, I had a big party scheduled for the Circus of Power and Alice in Chains guys, and I had to find a club to do it at the last minute. So I ended up moving the location permanently, and it's been a few different spots, but it succeeded over the years and changed with the times. And, you know, basically the evolved state of the music scene in California.
Now, were you hanging around Sunset Strip back in its heyday, like in mid '80s, when the Motley Crues and the Rats were hanging?
87. I mean, that's after all the bands got signed. But Guns N' Roses was the newest kid on the block at that point, and their album Appetite for Destruction had already been out and released, but it was only popular in Hollywood when I got there. You know, people in Indiana were talking about it, but it wasn't a top 10. You know,
It hadn't hit big yet.
It was more of a sleeper album. It took about 6 months for that record to be released to do anything or even get played on MTV. So kudos to them for the success finally. But yeah, I came in right on the cusp of the rock scene and the Strip, when you couldn't move on the Strip, and it took you 45 minutes to walk from the Whiskey to the Rainbow, 2 blocks. It was so packed on the street. You know, within 3 years, those days were over.
Me and Buffy went down there back in, I think it was early 2008. We were living in Vegas, and I'd always wanted to go to Hollywood, and you know, like everyone does, and go see everything. And a friend of mine's band was playing at the Whiskey, and this was a Friday night, and we drove down, and there was hardly any traffic at all, really, on Sunset Strip. And we parked. Hell, I missed my parking lot, so I had to make a loop and come back around. And we parked behind the Whiskey, and she was telling me stories, because she used to hang out there back in the day, and was telling me how it was like, you know, I guess in my mind it would be like Mardi Gras, where it's shoulder to shoulder. You can't hardly move down there. And when we got down there, like I said, you know, it was hardly anyone down there.
It was packed. It was. I mean, it was the best chaos you could ever imagine. I mean, I still go to the Strip. Obviously, I promote shows. I perform on the Strip, and some people say I'm the only person keeping the scene alive. I don't take credit, though. There's other people out there doing some good things, but none of the younger people that I meet will ever know what we experience. None of them. You can tell them stories till you're blue in the face. You can write a book. You can do a documentary. None of it will be in comparison. You got to understand that.
I got Buffy leaning in over here on my shoulder.
I'm sorry.
Throw him the horns. We have Harry on video chat, y'all, and she's trying to horn in on my time.
Sorry, honey.
Everything back then was surreal. I mean, coming from Chicago, the Midwest, and going to an arena to see Dio or to see David Lee Roth or Van Halen or, you know, all these people, and then coming to LA with less than $50 in your pocket. And, you know, I knew CeCe DeVille when I got here. I knew the guys in Dio when I got here. I knew a lot of people when I got here. But, you know, it's like, to be able to be... I remember I used to sneak into the Rainbow because I wasn't old enough to get in. I used to get there when it was still daylight, go in the bar, the back bar, sit by the pinball or the video machines, and hide there until the door staff came on, and then walked out and shot the shit like, you know, I belonged there, you know. And they don't, if you're not 21, especially a guy, they don't let you in the Rainbow, you know. And that's that crazy kid from Chicago, and I was out of my mind. I was nursing Long Island iced teas for 4 hours. You know, I didn't have any money. I didn't know anybody, but you know, I just kept on showing up. And before you know it, I'm sitting at a table having dinner with the Poison guys and David Lee Roth one night. The next night, I'm having dinner with Sam Kinison, and then he wants to take a walk, so we walk down to Gazzari's. You know, it was surreal. You know, you can, as I said, you can tell the stories, but no one will ever know what it's like. I mean, Cameron Crowe kind of didn't do it justice, but did a good job with Almost Famous. The difference between my world and my experience and Almost Famous, which is kind of the same story, is in my reality, you know, and I was the kid who used the fake English accent to try and get a hotel room, and I didn't even have a driver's license. but I had drugs and I knew girls. So it kind of like, my life was like Almost Famous, except more porn stars, more drugs, and more rock stars.
Drugs, sex, rock and roll.
There was a lot of that. Tons of it.
It was a way of life.
I go to the Rainbow today and these days, and I'll use the bathroom for actually using the bathroom.
I love it.
Back in the day, that was my second office.
Right on.
He was probably one of those guys that made money while he was in that office.
Now, talking about hanging out with David Lee Roth and CeCe DeVille, what's David Lee Roth like to hang out with?
He's pretty cool. He's very educated. I mean, he's if he likes you, he likes you. If he doesn't like you, he'll just ignore you. And when I remember Bobby Dahl and CeCe DeVille, I met Dave for a brief second through Billy Sheehan in Chicago on Eat 'em and Smile tour. But by the time I moved to L.A., Billy, I guess, he'd already left the band. He was forming Mr. Big. And Poison was getting ready to go out with David Lee Roth on the Skyscraper tour. And CeCe told me to come over, so I went over to his house, and him and Bobby went to meet David Lee Roth. He goes, Harry, we're going to meet Roth. We're going to be opening for him, so, be cool. And I'm like, all right, no problem. And I walked up, and CeCe and Bobby introduced me to David, who's sitting at the center table. He goes, hey, David, this is Happenin, Harry. And I wish your viewers could see my face, because I'll do his impression. Happenin, Harry. Where'd you ever get a name like that? With his big fucking grin. And he told me to sit down. And all I did was observe. I was just in awe. Just listening to him and CeCe and Bobby shoot the shit. And then, I guess I could say this. We're all clean and sober now, so it doesn't matter. We're doing rails on the table and, ended up at the Mondrian Hotel. But here's where it gets funny. The Mondrian Hotel is located where the House of Blues is across the street now. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is way before the House of Blues was even there. It was across the street from the Comedy Store. Still is. I think it's called the Mondrian. And not only did we get a room at the Mondrian, we didn't use it. Check it out. No, this is funny. Me, David Lee Roth, CeCe DeVille, and Bobby locked ourselves in the bathroom of the room for about 12 hours and got completely inebriated.
Wow.
We didn't even sit in the room. We're all crunched in the bathroom party. Like, there are people in the living room we didn't want to share with, and there was nobody else there. It was pretty funny.
Yep.
That's what, I get to reference that as the good old days now because I don't drink or party anymore, and neither do those guys. So it's like, I guess the glory days and the war stories apply to whenever we did do drugs or drink. But that's only one of thousands of experiences I had, and hopefully I'll get around to writing about all of it one day and release the book,
That would be awesome. I'm sure that'd be a multi-volume set, for sure. Hanging around with those guys, that's got to be thousands of stories.
Music fans could fight online and the internet all they want about greatness and what album sucks, what album's great. Sammy Hagar's better than Roth. Roth is better than Hagar. The bottom line is this, and I'll sum this up with David Lee Roth. You're in the presence of greatness when you're in his company. And nobody's on the clock. Nobody's working. It's just casual. And that guy is the epitome of a star. He's funny, he's entertaining, and you never get bored hanging out with him. Ever.
I could imagine.
You never have a boring time hanging out with Roth. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, aside from the chicks, the occasional chicks that would walk up and want some gratification, you know, the Star Seekers. The best experience I've had with David Lee Roth back in the day was when there were no chicks around. It was just the dudes talking shit and partying. It's just one of the most entertaining things you could ever imagine. And you'll never be able to rent that on a DVD. Ever.
Right on.
Yeah, but that shit makes for great memories, though, don't it?
Oh, you have no idea.
I got a question.
Well, Buffy has a question.
Do you know if it's true or not, during the David Lee Roth skyscraper days, if he was truly rock climbing?
Yeah, of course.
Right on, man. I rock climbed for years.
You should read his book,
I should.
Crazy from the Heat.
Wow, okay, I'm going to look into that.
Sounds like you.
Yeah.
You're crazy from the heat.
Yeah.
She's psycho. I don't know. I know you've talked to her a few times. Yeah, my wife's nuts. It's at Vegas and 120.
I didn't have any weed to smoke her out with, so she hung up on me.
Oh, that's just fucking wrong.
What? Whoa.
What the fuck's wrong with you, woman?
You got me.
He got you. Now, after Studio City, you went back to L.A.?
Well, Studio City's in LA.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at something. I'm talking, my notes moved. Second City.
Second City. No, I stayed in Chicago about 5 years total. Worked in radio a little bit with Liz Wilde. Did a lot of marketing and promotions. And then while I was there, I ended up going on tour with the Beach Boys, doing marketing and event management for the sponsor of their tour, which was a great experience because that was one of Carl Wilson's last tours before he died. He was just an amazing guy to talk to. And then between there, I also got a call from Michael Schenker.
I was just about to ask you about that.
Mind you, it's been a couple of years since I've even sung. I didn't even sing really when I went back. You know, I went from singing all the time and establishing myself as a singer to not singing much at all. It was about a few years, and I get a call out of the blue from Michael Schenker's manager saying, "The singer's deported, can you do the tour?" So I said, sure. You know, being a huge UFO, Scorpions, and MSG fan growing up, I already knew about 3 hours of material on our first rehearsal.
Wow.
But I ended up leaving the band because the housing they had for me fell through. Transportation to rehearsals fell through. Everything was disorganized. And I basically maxed out my credit card being the singer of MSG for a few months.
Wow.
And I finally just, you know, I called back my contacts to go work some Beach Boys shows again. And I basically said, I'm leaving. You know, I can't afford to do this. This is ridiculous. I'm not even getting a paycheck.
Right.
The pay doesn't start till the tour starts. I'm like, all right. And then the management asked me to road manage and sing. And I'm like, you're high. You don't want to give me a pay raise? And I'm not even getting a penny now? No. And I just basically left. Michael asked me to come and sing a couple shows with him on the tour, and that's about as far as that went.
Now, you also sang in a band called Fawcett.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that, would you?
Well, Nigel Mogg, who is the bass player of the London Choir Boys and a couple other acts, I met him in the 80s. We were neighbors when the London Choir Boys first came over here, and they were signed to Capitol and managed by Sharon Osbourne.
Wow.
And one day, I think it might have even been a birthday party I had at our apartment complex. We're all at the pool, barbecue, and everything. And all of a sudden, Nigel Mogg, you know, says, "Harry, I want to introduce you to someone." And I turn around, and it's Phil Mogg, the singer of UFO, my hero. And I didn't put two and two together. That was his uncle. So, Nigel and I basically that year, back in the early days of promoting the club, decided to put a UFO tribute together called Fawcett, which consisted of Alf, Casey from Nitro on drums, Scott Warren, who eventually would be with Heaven and Helen Dio on keyboards. He had just left Warrant at that time. George Adrian on guitar and Nigel Mogg on bass. And we basically just did a UFO tribute, and that's what it was. Did several shows over the years, but didn't take it seriously. It was for fun, and I couldn't believe it. When the internet started developing more and more, where you can actually reference articles, there were reviews on Fawcett online from the UK, and I was like, wow. And it mentioned my name, and I was like, felt special, and mentioned Nigel. So when I went back to Chicago that same year that I got contacted by Michael Schenker, I'd already been in touch with Pete Way, who was living in Columbus, Ohio, which is an hour flight from Chicago. And whenever I'd go through Columbus for whatever reason, I would always spend the night at Pete Way's house and his wife Joanna, who had passed away, rest in peace. I would stay in their guest room in their home in Columbus, and Pete and I became better friends through him living in America. Even though we'd known and partied with each other in the 80s, he was a Midwestern guy now, married and settled down. And I said, Pete, why don't you come to Chicago and I'll throw a band around us and we'll play. So I basically adopted the name Fawcett that I'd used before to do it. And we had a buddy of mine named Joe on drums, Jamie Tisdale on rhythm guitar and keyboards, who had passed away, from a band called Ironhawk, as well as Lizzie from DeMalls, and Tony Galati, and a childhood friend of mine who turned me onto UFO named Stan Vanis on guitar, who could play every Michael Schenker lick in the world. And Pete basically flew in. We'd play a show as Fawcett in Chicago or in that vicinity, and Pete would be the bass player. It would basically give a chance for UFO fans to meet Pete, when that's one of the hardest things you could possibly do, because Pete's always out of there after the show. He doesn't hang out. And since they just canceled a few shows in the Midwest because Michael left again, Pete thought it was a good idea. Sure, I'll play. We'll play some shows in Chicago. Let's have some fun. And that's how that happened.
That is awesome. I've read about Pete Way, about him being a very private, person, and not really wanting to, not necessarily not talk to fans, but he's just ready to get home and get back to his, his life away from music, so to speak.
I don't know if that makes somebody private. It's like, you can love your job, but still after you put in a work day, you want to get the fuck out of there.
Right.
You know what I mean? You want to go to a pub. You want to clock out. You don't want to, you're only a rock star for 40 minutes a night. You know what I mean? Then it's back to reality. While you're on stage, you're grateful that you're making a living doing your passion. But if music is the only thing you like, that makes for one boring individual.
I have to agree.
I'm sure Pete wouldn't, I'm sure Pete would, after a show, didn't rush home or rush to the room or rush to the pub because he didn't like the fans. He probably wanted to go see a soccer game. You know what I mean? On the TV. It's like, I don't think people that don't meet the fans are against meeting the fans. I think that, Neil Peart's a good example. He cleared it up. He gets social anxiety from it. He doesn't like to meet strangers because it freaks him out. Geddy and Alex, they love to do that stuff, so they do it. Neil, he goes to his room and he goes to sleep. To each their own.
I can see how that would work. After meeting, especially someone in like Neil Peart's shoes, thousands upon millions of people, that could wear on you after a while.
You gotta, some people are shy too. Some people don't know how to address crowds. Not everybody's a leader. Some people, they're a rock star on stage, and off stage they're introverted.
That's and it's kind of surprising too that
you know what? Don't get me wrong. I've met some celebrities and rock stars that are dicks. That are just who have everything that they've ever dreamed for, and they're just the biggest asshole. But you know, I know a lot of people who they're just not. They do the meet and greets, they do the autographs, they do the photos because they have to. But eventually, through any band, and a band grows as a band, you'll get your select members that actually love doing it, you know, and then you'll get your members that kind of shy away from it because it's just not their thing. You know, how many times do you want to get cornered and ask the same question a million times?
Yeah.
Where it might be irritating to you, you don't want that fan taking it personal that you won't discuss it. You know? Sometimes absence is easier.
Yeah. Now, you were speaking about Rush. A certain someone over here went on tour with them back in, what album was it, Moving Pictures?
Yeah.
And has some experiences hanging out with Neil, actually having lunch, right?
Yeah, up in the Seattle, that big Coliseum there, and they had a big window on top. And all these people were peering in the window while we were in the cafeteria eating. They had their noses up against the window. They looked like crazy.
I want to speak up just a little bit, babe.
And I had asked Neil how he handles eating like that every day, and he said, "Oh, I guess you get used to it."
It'd be kind of like being a fish in a tank.
Yeah, that's
with all
how
these
I
little
felt.
kids in kindergarten class with their face against the glass.
Here's a question for you. On that Moving Pictures tour, who is the support band on that Rush tour?
Oh, jeez. You know, I don't even remember that.
Oh, really?
Really, because I worked the show in Vegas, and then I flew up to Reno and worked it again the next night, and from there I hopped on the tour bus and just kind of did my own thing for a while. It was a blast.
I may be mistaken, but I believe it was Riot.
You may be right. I used to love me some Riot back in the day. I mean, really.
Now, she also told me a story once about her and Alex, who you said used to have a thing, but like remote control airplanes, used to fly them straight up and crash them.
Show, pal. This is a family show, pal. We don't want to hear the pornos.
Those are for sale, by the way.
No, there was none of that, man. They were very respectful dudes. I gotta give it to them.
And what was that they told you about Aerosmith?
Oh, I told them I wasn't going to get on the bus with them because I didn't want them to leave me in the middle of nowhere without a quarter to call home. And
And then they said, well, good thing because we only have halves and grams.
yeah, pretty much. No, they said, we're not Aerosmith. And a green light went off, and I grabbed my suitcase. I was gone. Had the time,
All right.
Had the time of my life, man.
Now, other than Fawcett and Jamming MSG and the Haptones, there's a couple other bands that you got, correct?
Yeah, I've sung with different projects here and there.
And
Nothing really tour worthy yet, but you know, I'm in the hub of where everybody has to be, so it's like there's no real reason for me to leave here. You know, I keep pretty busy. Not that I wouldn't like to, you know, but you know, touring costs money. When I see a check,
Yeah.
I'll do the work. That's that.
yeah, I can imagine what a tour would be, especially with a full stage and
25 semi-trucks.
yeah,
back in
who
the
knows
day.
how many employees.
Even a club tour costs money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, it doesn't matter what kind of tour it is.
gas,
You know,
food, and lodging.
Like, hey, you know, are you willing to get in a van with 10 other guys and stink up the place and deal with their farts and shit? No, I'm not. You know, I mean, even when the Haptones do out-of-town shows, we fly. we don't get a bus. We don't get a van. You know, I got Haptones all over the world. You know,
Really?
so it's like if we were to do an East Coast run, I'd call Johnny Kelly from Typo Negative in New York. I'd call Jay Trioxin from Wednesday 13 and the Undead in Jersey. You know, and I'd put a band together and I'd fly out to keep the expenses down. You know,
It makes sense.
well, that's the only way we do it. If it doesn't make sense, we're not in a hurry to be seen. People can see us online. You know?
Right.
Well, Harry, let's go ahead and throw on a few tunes, shall we?
Sure. How many tunes?
Let's see. Guess we can do. What you want to do? Let's do 3,
All right. Sounds good.
and then we'll come back. And Harry, by the way, has sent us a request for a playlist tonight, which we happily put up here for him. The first track you're going to hear on here is AC/DC Squealer.
Yeah. Love that song.
Next is Alice in Chains' Brother. And we'll talk about that when we come back.
Yeah. Let's dedicate brother to our brother Mike Starr, who passed away.
Our fallen brother, Mike Starr, who is the original bass player of Alice in Chains, if you guys don't know. And thirdly, we'll have Black Sabbath, Voodoo, some fucking Dio in your eye. Or in your ear, actually. So stick around, metalheads. We'll be right back with the one and only Happenin' Harry. You listen to Brutiful.
All hell, Ryan James Dio. Voodoo, baby.
Throw the horns up. And you're listening to Brutiful Metal Radio. This is the Bullshitting with Bob show, and we shall be right back. Welcome back. Sorry for the technical glitch. You are listening to Brutiful Metal Radio, right here with Bullshitting with Bob, and Happenin' Harry himself. Welcome back, Harry. Yeehaw. Doing it Alabama style. Now, we were talking during the break about, you're a ghost hunter, or you've done ghost hunting.
Yeah, I've been asked to assist on different occasions. You know, I've always had experiences over the years, and I just never really made it a business. You know, some people I've shared my experiences with. Some have been there when they've happened. But then the more curious I got about different experiences and how often and frequent it was happening the past several years, I decided to do more research about it. So I contacted some ghost hunters I knew. They brought me with on some excursions, and where they'd be in the company of mediums and enthusiasts alike. And apparently the more I discovered was that I'm a conductor of energy, and I can't walk into a place that has some kind of entity without it coming out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that something that you would find difficult with, or something that you enjoy?
I'm not an Ivy League school teacher, but the best comparison I can make to you is a beautiful mind. You would see and witness certain things. I just don't. I don't talk back unless I'm alone. Like if I'm alone and I hear some ruckus going on, I'll just say, "Shut the hell up," and it'll stop. My cat continuously is kept company with things that I cannot see.
Wow.
But it interacts with something, and I mean, it is what it is. And then I just roll my eyes and go back to watching cable or whatever I'm doing.
So it's something you've pretty much, living with, you've grown pretty much accustomed to?
Yeah, as a kid, I had a lot of dreams and premonitions and stuff that ended up happening, and I just learned to cope with it. I'd never really made it a psychological or an emotional problem, And I don't think there's anywhere in any medical books that actually describes schizophrenia as a medical condition. I think that's something that we created. And I believe there's probably schizophrenics out there who aren't crazy. They just don't know how to cope.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can see that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I just don't think that they know how to cope with the realities they've been dealt. And I think some of them probably do see things, you know.
Wow, that's deep.
You know, but me
Very.
personally,
Yeah.
I separate myself from the experience. I very rarely, especially being clean and sober now, I never ask myself if I'm going crazy.
Right.
You know, yeah, process of elimination is if something happens and you see it and you're straight headed, it happened.
Right?
That's that.
Wasn't this or that.
Nope.
No mistake about it. I mean, I've had things move in my apartment, you know, and there's been voices here. I'm not hearing shit. I know what my neighbor sounds like from the distance they are to me. If I hear a word being spoken or a couple of words being spoken, I know it's close or not. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, there's no second guessing, but it is.
And just to back it up, I mean, I've got stuff on tape even, you know, on digital recordings that you can't dismiss. You know, believe me, I'll debunk something the first opportunity I get. I've walked into a house before of a lady who asked me to come by and scope out her house. She said there was an evil entity there, and I walked in there, and everything within my power, there was nothing there. And I told her as I left, I said, the only bad energy here is you.
Oh, wow.
And I told her that. There's nothing living in this room. There's nothing living in that closet. There's nothing. Nothing's here.
That sounds like someone that's actually wanting something to be there.
Well, it's just somebody who's extra paranoid and wants some other outlet to blame her misfortunes. You know?
Now, I've got some songs that'll be coming up the next time we take a break. One of the bands is called the Sex Devils.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the Sex Devils.
The Sex Devils is a project that I created several years ago with some close friends. You know, one in particular was a guy named Peter Carr, who is a producer and he does scores for movies. And he gave me some, after hiring me to do some session work vocally for him on different video games and different movie soundtracks alike, he said, you know what, I got some original stuff, man, I think you would be great on. And the birth of the Sex Devils was basically, we're actually going to play two of the songs of this band that I sing for, was music that he produced that didn't have any vocals on it. And I basically went in there, co-produced the song, restructured the song, wrote the lyrics, sung the melodies, and arranged some of the music, and gave birth to some really cool songs. You know, apparently everybody who hears it likes it. It's just, you know, the reason the Sex Devils aren't playing is because I'm not procrastinating. I need to write. You know, I need my life to be in a place where I can just fuck off and concentrate on it. And until then, we're just going to keep creating music.
Right on.
You know, and if the time never comes where we do a show or a tour, we'll release an album on iTunes. We'll see what happens. You know, but today is the debut worldwide of two of my songs.
Wow. Well, thank you for allowing us to be the ones to do that. I
And I'm
appreciate
not
that.
kidding. I'm not kidding, because there's an ongoing joke that if you want to hear the Sex Devils, the only place you could do it is my car.
Now, you had mentioned a minute ago, I'm going to get your take on this, you know, about releasing on iTunes and things like that. Do you think, in your opinion, that the day of the record label is coming to a close, being that, you know, we have media so widespread now that a band can record at home, they can get Pro Tools and do everything that they can at home and make it sound quality and release it to iTunes and Amazon.com and places like this?
I don't think that in particularly has anything to do with labels closing. I mean, the thing about labels and why they'll always exist in some capacity is because they have back catalog. You know, Hollywood Records, you know, for instance, they'll sign a band, never release the record, and shelve it, write it off on their taxes, but they have the Queen catalog to compensate any income they need to pay their bills. You know, I mean, different labels. I mean, Atlantic has, you know, Zeppelin, Genesis.
Yeah.
You know, the only purpose of signing an act that sells records these days is so the person who signed them can keep their job. The label itself isn't going to have problems surviving if they have back catalog on artists who are platinum selling artists. They'll continue to sell catalogs. Through technology, they'll continue to produce CDs. They'll continue to do downloads. You know, my only concern about everything and the way things are moving is how accurate are the numbers and the download purchases.
Yeah.
You know, there's bands out there getting screwed over on their gold and platinum records that apparently only sold 100,000 copies over 30 years. It's like, you know, the band I'm talking about is Riot. You know, those guys deserve their gold record for Fire Down Under. Where the hell is it? You know? Meanwhile, through download purchases and licensing to release the record over and over again, you can't tell me that Riot hasn't gone gold. I don't believe it.
They may have gone platinum by now. You know.
I remember 10 years after Nevermind the Bollocks, here are the Sex Pistols. 10 years after the release of that record, which was a monument album, not just in punk, but in rock and roll. It went platinum 10 years after its release. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
That's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
You know? So my main concern is knowing what I know and also considering what I don't. You know, if the industry itself and the label industry doesn't keep you accurate numbers, what by mistake, default, or just on purpose, how are these artists going to know exactly how much they're selling? The truth. How much is being downloaded? What's the truth? You know, some of them depend on that to pay their rent. And we all know what kind of a common economy we're in right now, worldwide. So,
yep.
You know, it wouldn't hurt to get a couple $1,000 a year for your downloads, you know, but some artists I know, they've never gotten paid. And it's a shame.
Now, I read a book recently by Michael Toney called Tales from the Stage Volume 1. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I interviewed him about a month and a half ago. And he had interviewed Chris Holmes from Wasp. And was talking to Chris, and, you know, he went through all the bad times that he had. You know, and how he's not getting any kind of publishing from Blackie Lawless or anything like that. And, you know, he's having to work a day job. He's got a side band. He plays. But, you know, you'd figure with what he did in Wasp, that he would make enough of a royalty check that he wouldn't have to worry about getting a day job. And
Are we talking about Chris Holmes?
Chris Holmes.
Well, I've known Chris for many years, and I love Chris. He's great. He's a monster on guitar. However, I can't speak in his experience, and we don't know the whole story. Blackie Lawless owns Wasp. He always has.
Right.
He is the CEO. So when other people join in and write, I know there's been argument over the years about people getting rightfully, you know, their just desserts for publishing and whatnot. But sometimes, and I don't know if this is true or not, I'm just throwing this out there. Sometimes musicians think they deserve something after the fact. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, but what about while you're there? Why would they stay so long if they weren't getting paid? You know, it's like, obviously somebody made some kind of an arrangement. You know, there's people who write for Ozzy too. You know, and I mean, if he decides to buy the song that you wrote being in his band for $3,000 and he made $10,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 off that track, and then you go back and say you want more, who's the asshole?
Agreed.
You know, it's like, your bottom line is sometimes people put themselves in positions as musicians to sell out early, and then once they need it or want the money or want the rewards, they go back and chase after what they already agreed against. So that's another way to look at it. You know, like if a band does a show for me and I give them worldwide promotion and they agree to the terms set forth, and then after the show, they come to me and they say, we want $1,000 extra, I'm going to tell them to go fuck themselves. You know? First of all, you only brought 2 people. And we don't pay on a curve here of talent, you know? I would hope that I'm not booking anybody shitty to begin with. Secondly, I'm not going to pay you or give you more than we agreed just because you did a good show. I give my all every time I hit a stage. Whether it comes out 100%, 110%, or 90%. I give everything I got. I don't want to get paid extra. I don't perform a curve. So why the hell are you? It doesn't make sense to me.
That's understandable. But, you know, from the outsider, you know, of the business, you know, I was just reading them, and you would think that just because he was with Wasp, he would get more. I don't know, you know, what him and Blackie agreed to or anything like that. And I'm not saying, you know, Blackie
exactly.
screwed him over or nothing like that.
We know the whole story.
Just being on the outsider, you know, with him being, you would just think that, you know, or you would assume that, and maybe wrongly so.
But what happens when we assume?
Makes an ass out of you and me.
Yep.
Okay. See, you never know what the story is. I mean, we're talking about Wasp. What about the Beatles?
Yeah.
Why is Paul McCartney worth over $500 million, but George Harrison is worth about half that? Why?
Because of their contracts.
Or a deal was made somewhere.
Why is Gene Simmons worth $350 million and Paul Stanley's worth $130 million?
Right.
Why is that?
Right.
We don't know the whole story. And if they want to make it our business, they'll tell us.
True.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we just have to listen to the rumor mill. Oh, wow, man, that sucks. Anyway.
Yeah.
And you got to put yourself up there and go, what's your part in this? Why are you like this based on what decisions you made?
Yeah.
Now, if a band, like, you know, we'll just make up a name, you know, Skull Crusher or something, you know. Say there's a band called Skull Crusher, and the singer's the best singer in the world. And he puts a band together and writes songs with the guitar player for the debut record. But that guitar player could be anybody. And they both know it. Now, if they write songs together, and the guitar player made arrangements to forfeit his publishing for salary and retainer because he needs the money, and then later on wants to fight for publishing,
Right.
once you make an agreement, you can't just assume that everybody's going to fall to your knees. Now, if there was corrosion involved, that's a different story. You know, if somebody extorted to kick you out of this project you've already invested in, unless you give them X, Y, and Z, or forfeit X, Y, and Z, that's illegal. But usually you don't find people like that staying in that position with their band for several years.
Right.
After the tour is over, you sit down with your old lady or by yourself or a manager friend, and what would you do in this situation? You would confide in people who know more than you to give you the right answer and make the right decision. If somebody's unhappy after the first album and the first tour, and they need to renegotiate, then you go to the table with that before you start recording the other record. You don't record 4 or 5, 6 more albums and then pick a fight over it and then start defaming the character of the person that was there in the beginning to help you make a living to begin with, even though it's not as much money as you wanted. You have choices.
Yeah.
You do. You have choices. Now, not everybody thinks that way. That's when we hear these stories.
Or not everybody's happy with their choice.
Yeah, why do they stay for 6 records?
Well, Dig
Yeah,
it.
they were happy for something.
Yeah.
Either they were happy being miserable with the arrangement, and nobody else was knocking on their door to have them play on their shit, so they can join a different band. They made themselves stuck in a scenario that they didn't want to get out of. Now, the right thing to do from the beginning, like Ozzy leaving Sabbath, for instance, when he put together the original lineup of the solo band, I'm sure nobody got paid the same. They would have lost their job if they came and demanded that. Same with Dio. Same with anything like that. Now you get a guy like Blackie, who knows the business inside and out. He's not going to ask a bunch of guys to play with him for free. But if they burn through their dough and they want to renegotiate, then come to the table and renegotiate. Don't wait 10 years. 20 years. Otherwise, all that is a sad story and nothing more.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? Everybody has choices. If you don't like something, fix it.
Right on.
Now, let's talk about the other band, Forever Say Die.
Oh, yeah. I didn't name that band.
Was that a spin from Never Say Die?
Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, the play on words. Really clever. Forever Say Die, we recorded one song for a Black Sabbath compilation called Evil Lives that was released on Cleopatra several years ago. And it's funny because sometimes on occasion I'll be presented with that CD to sign an autograph for people, and I'm like, where'd you find this thing? It's me singing. It's Jeff Duncan from Armored St. Nodin playing guitar. It's Joe Petro playing bass, and Timmy Yazui from London playing drums. And basically, they just called me in to sing a Black Sabbath remake for this compilation record. It's that simple.
Well,
You know?
I'll say that's one of the songs that I got to hear when I walked in the door today. And it's Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. I'll go ahead and let all the listeners out there know. And, bro, that shit sounded awesome.
But you know what?
It sounded really good.
Guess what the budget was on that song?
Fun?
I'm scared to ask.
Well, guess how much that song cost to make?
Say $500.
$400.
Wow.
$400 budget. It was recorded in a garage, I think.
Really?
Wow.
I did 2 takes, and that was it.
Some of the best music, I'm telling you, has came from garages over the years, and it's never been recorded.
So when it is captured, it's usually like a diamond in the rough, though.
Yeah, and this
Well,
version...
I've got a saying. He's the best guitar player in Nebraska you'll never hear.
It's the best version of that song. Oh, I'm telling you, I fell in love with it.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I came in this evening and she had it cranked up. And yeah, I'm like, who the hell's singing that? And she told me, and I'm like, man, that sounds really fucking good.
Yeah.
Really fucking good.
I'm going to give a shout out. Is that okay?
Oh, sure, man.
I'm going to give a shout out to Mimi and Sandy Slavin. Sandy Slavin, the original drummer of Riot.
Right on.
And also Kip from Riot, who allegedly is listening on the East Coast as well.
Well, thank you guys for listening.
And, yeah, Sandy and Mimi, very cool, very good people. I used to air drum Sandy's playing on Fire Down Under back in the day. I won't lie, I air drummed Sandy's playing today.
Pass me your picture.
Oh, no.
I'm going to show you this picture real quick. You're going to laugh your ass off.
It's not your dick, is it?
No.
No, they don't make film that small.
110 film?
Yeah. Can you see that?
That's Axl Rose? What?
That's Buffy air guitaring
At the Troubadour in Vegas.
At the Troubadour in Vegas, and actually won a trophy, first place, and she was doing it to a
Iron Maiden.
Prowler. Song. It was Prowler?
Yeah. When I got it as a indie record, actually.
You should have been doing it to Fire Down Under, Riot.
I should have. I had, I think, two of their albums, cassettes, actually, back in the day.
Actually, you had a 45 at the house in Vegas.
True.
I remember that.
True.
Now,
Let's talk about the Riot documentary.
That sounds like a plan. That was a good segue into it. You are actually directing this, correct?
Co-directing, co-producing. Actually, my right hand in this is going to be Eric Schrader, who resides on the East Coast, and he's moving out here in December. We're going to start filming this in January.
Awesome.
And it's basically going to cover Riot time span era between like 1979 to 83. And
Yes.
which isn't the complete beginning. I mean, Riot, I think, was born in around 75. But it's basically going to cover the years they were signed to Capitol and Elektra and what happened and what went wrong and what could have been prevented. And we're digging up a lot of research.
I actually noticed that online that you were doing that.
Yeah, I mean, the Riot guys, I mean, as far as the Fire Down Under lineup, Guy Speranza and Mark Rowley are both passed now, and we think their families deserve gold records for that record. You know, and of course, Red Forrester had passed away too. He got shot or something, and that's tragedy in itself. We replaced Guy, but you know, we want to make sure that, you know, Rick and Kip and Sandy, as well as the families of Guy and Mark, get their gold records finally, 30 years later. That's just ridiculous.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
We'll help promote it.
We will promote it.
Good. Everyone should. I mean, the music industry, if you let it, just like any other industry, if you let it, will fuck you. And you know what? Now that 30 years later, we shouldn't have to ask, does that come with KY and sand?
Yeah.
At least get a kiss before they do it, right?
Yeah, no shit. Not even a dinner.
Wow.
You know, entertainment's been doing this far too long to everybody. Just throwing this out there, the Three Stooges died penniless because of the same sort of predators on their creative...
You know, that's funny because Riot opened up for the Three Stooges in vaudeville.
Really?
No.
Oh.
How about have no shit moment?
Yeah. Well, I knew they were going way far. I mean, Mo didn't die till the late 70s.
This is a true story, though. The Three Stooges used to go under the moniker the Howard Brothers, which is their real last name. Like, remember in the TV show, Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard?
Yeah,
Right.
and those were their real last name.
Yeah.
The Howard Brothers, before they were the Three Stooges, and this is a true story. The Three Stooges used to open up for my grandfather in vaudeville.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who was your grandfather?
His name is Bobby Harrison. He was a very, very talented dancer, and years later became head of choreography at MGM and Paramount.
Wow.
My uncle Jimmy was in Singing in the Rain, Brigadoon.
Wow.
Yeah, he's. If you were a leading lady or a leading man, and you didn't know the steps, you'd have to go see Bobby Harrison. And if you thought you were helpless, you wouldn't get the part.
Wow. That's so very cool.
That is very cool.
Taught Ann Miller how to dance, Betty Grable, Tommy Rawl, Bobby Van. He taught a lot of great people how to dance.
Wow.
Yep.
That's very cool.
Old Hollywood.
Yeah. We used to have a theater at the Bally's. Actually, it was the MGM when the MGM got torched up years ago in Vegas.
When it first became Bally's, I performed there with Sam Kinison.
Really?
1989.
Wow. That's about then. Remember they had that movie theater in there that had all the, like, couches and ashtrays and people
I
go.
really don't remember. I met a girl who worked at Swanson's ice cream parlor there
Yeah.
at Bethany, and
Yeah.
she ended up spending the weekend with me in my room. So
Right on.
I didn't see any movie theaters.
So Happenin' Harry was
Yeah,
happening that night.
Yeah. They used to just play black and white flicks anyway. We used to go there.
Like old film noir?
Yeah, yeah. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
So why don't you play some of my music?
We are about to.
Cool.
We have, let's see, the Sex Devils, Ecstasy.
Yep, Ecstasy. I co-produced, co-wrote, and I'm singing vocals on that, as well as Demon Girl.
And we also have Forever Say Die, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath.
Let's stick to the Sex Devils. Let's not confuse people.
Okay.
We'll come back to Forever Say Die later.
Okay, so we'll play these two. Do you want to listen to another one in between?
No, let's just do two.
Just do two.
Yeah, consolidate.
No problem.
I wrote these two. I co-produced them. This is a band that I've been working on for a long time, and hopefully it'll see the light of day. And this is the debut worldwide on the internet of two of my songs called Ecstasy and Demon Girl by my band, the Sex Devils. And I'm not even known as Happenin' Harry in these groups. I changed my name in this band to Mr. Evil, and you'll see why when you hear it.
And here we go, folks. Stick around. Alrighty. Sorry for the delay. We've had a program problem. But we are back. This is Brutiful Metal Radio. You are listening to the Bullshitting with Bob show. And we have Happenin' Harry right here
Yo.
via Skype.
Hey, how did everybody like my tunes?
Let's see what the chat room says. Okay.
Oh, wait. You suck. Don't sing ever again.
No. Oh, good question, Dark Dude. He asked if we have any MSG.
Did I put any on
No,
here?
no. We don't have any MSG.
Okay, there you have it.
We use pure ingredients in our Chinese food.
No MSG. No Olestra. Now,
Hey, wait, who wants MSG? I can't read this.
that's
Dark Black Death Dude from Hell and stuff. Oh, okay. If you want, I'll just sing Attack of the Mad Axemen. How's that? Sneaking round the back streets, don't stay out too late. He's got something he wants to give to you. When he calls in his dreams, when his phantom screams. Outstrung shadows in the night, only they will save you. Got to watch the attack of the Mad Axe Man. He could take you anytime he pleases. How's that?
Yeah.
there you go, bro.
I love it.
We're getting claps in the chat room.
And smiles.
It's funny, when I played with Michael, I walked into rehearsal. I was supposed to have 3 days to rest. I went straight from the airport to the rehearsal room and busted out 3 hours of songs.
Wow.
He blew his mind.
I guess.
You know what else? I got to give it up because Robin McCauley from McCauley Shaker Group, MSG, he was nice enough to fax me all of his lyrics.
Wow.
When I did that gig, yeah.
Wow.
I remember calling him from Arizona, and I'm like, "Hey man, I'm singing with Michael," and he laughed. He goes, "But I don't know any of your songs. I gotta master the great Robin McCauley." And I gave him a fax number. He faxed me all of his lyrics.
Kick ass.
How cool
Yeah,
is that,
it-
right?
Very,
Robin
very.
McCauley's a sweetheart. Such a great guy.
Now, let's see. We also have Forever Say Die, which you've already explained to us, and we'll play that on the next break. Now the Haptones.
They suck.
Now you were saying that you guys you have your you guys write original music, and do y'all do other people's songs too?
You know, we're
Y'all kind of mix it up.
I'm not gonna over glamorize it. we're an all-star cover band. That's
Right
it.
on.
We're a bar band. We play covers.
But the thing you said, though, it's all-star, so you're getting the real deal up there sometimes jamming their own tunes.
Yeah, the difference between us and other cover bands is the actual members of the bands we play are in the band.
And sometimes there's some very special guests.
There's always special guests.
Like Stephen Bauer.
Oh, Stephen Bauer.
The
Good
man.
guy. Stephen Bauer, everybody, is an actor. Recently from Breaking Bad. He also played, he was also in the movie Traffic. He's better known as Manny from Scarface, Al Pacino's best friend.
I remember him from the movie The Thief of Hearts, I believe.
On many occasions, Stephen has come down and sung with me. He's a great guy.
Right on. And I read a Jimmy Fallon quote recently. Once a Haptone, always a Haptone.
Yep, Jimmy's a Haptone. Jimmy Fallon is an official Haptone.
Kick ass, man.
Whenever Jimmy and I are, whenever the Haptones are performing and Jimmy's in town, he always makes an appearance. He always introduces the band and he always sings a few songs.
That is so cool.
And actually, on one occasion, a couple of years ago, he was performing in Chicago. He sold out a week straight in Chicago with his stand-up and called me on stage to sing with him. So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
What an honor, huh?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. People say what they want about Jimmy or not. Jimmy is one of the sweetest guys. Him and his wife are just amazing. They're just...
He absolutely comes off to me like that. When I've never met him, but whenever I see any interaction going on, he's always like so very cool.
He is a sweetheart, and he is a lot of fun to hang out with.
I bet that dude seems like he's just crazy.
Happy.
Yeah.
Happy all the time.
He's a lover of life, that guy.
Yeah, that is true. I somehow believe that. How about
I'm so happy that Jimmy is getting the success he's got with his show, and nobody deserves it more. He's so great.
yeah, he's been getting around the circuit a lot on the networks right now, and it's really cool, actually.
Well, you see a lot of them, because he does commercials and things like that, too. I mean, guys everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did outstanding. I know, I used to watch him on SNL, and dude's just fucking hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
We love Jimmy.
And let's see, how about another one? Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider has never performed with the Haptones.
Oh.
No.
I thought I saw a picture of you and him together, so I guess...
We've crossed paths.
You assumed.
I assumed, yes. I'm
He
sorry.
has never performed with us.
Wow.
But I would love it if he would.
Oh, yeah.
We'll even do a break in a song, and all he can do is, "You can do it." That'd be great.
Well, did you know that he actually does a very good Elvis impersonation?
Nice. As good as Andy Kaufman?
Better.
Better.
I don't know.
Ah.
I don't know. I like Andy Kaufman.
Elvis told Andy Kaufman that Andy was the best.
Really?
How do you beat that?
Well, you don't.
You don't. The man himself tells you.
Yeah.
You just bow down and worship.
Yeah. I don't know. He impressed me. He had a pink suit on.
Did he?
He did the whole Elvis thing. Yeah.
Now, you worked at the Cat Club for a number of years.
10 years, over 10 years.
That's when I first run across you and the Haptones was what was that, 06 I think it was, on MySpace.
Yep.
And just fell in love with what you're doing. You and the Haptones always seem like y'all are having just the best fucking time.
We always do. We always do.
It's like the place to be is right there, right then. Nowhere else on the planet.
Yeah, the only downside, the only times I didn't have fun with the Haptones is when somebody says they know a song and they get up and they don't know the fucking song. Other than that, I mean, when we're on, man, nobody can touch this band. They're great. They're amazing players. We never rehearse, and we nail it like we wrote it. It's awesome.
Killer.
And of course, you know, people can find Haptones on the on YouTube, correct?
Nope.
Nope.
Crap on YouTube. YouTube is not our friend.
Ah. HappeninHarry.com.
I'm going to have a YouTube channel, Happenin Harry TV. Me and Eric Schrader are going to do a channel. HappeninHarry.com is going to become an interactive media site next year.
Cool.
With radio programming, a weekly Happenin Harry show for Happenin Harry TV, and we're going to release a bunch of footage nobody's seen that I approve. Because sometimes, you know, the people have come in against my wishes and cell phone videotaped and all this shit, and it's like, you know what? This is your experience, not everybody else's. Don't videotape this band. This is for you, not people who are too lazy to get out of the fucking house. And that's how I see it. Once we are ready to release footage that we have, and there's some great stuff, and not just Haptone stuff. Four Dudes, which I sing for, which is Ray Luzier from Korn on drums, Billy Sheehan and Bumblefoot from Guns N' Roses. I mean, it's one of the best projects we ever thought up, you know, and we did a couple shows, and let me tell you something, I got it all on HD.
Nice.
It's amazing stuff.
Wow.
People's jaws will drop.
Oh, Bumblefoot is one of the baddest guitar players out there.
And I agree with you.
What show was that we were watching?
Metal show.
It was Talking Metal.
Yeah.
And they had Bumblefoot on there, and at the end, the guys all got together, and they were doing a Judas Priest tune. What was it, Running Wild?
Something like that.
And Bumblefoot was actually singing Halford. And
make no mistake about it, okay? Guns N' Roses is one of the best bands in the world, and Bumblefoot deserves to be in that position, playing guitar with Axl.
I agree.
I mean, he'd be one of the first people I'd pick. But you make no mistake about it, what he doesn't show you in Guns N' Roses is how versatile he is.
Correct.
Now, this guy, I don't care if it's Tom Jones, Judas Priest, the motherfucker can play better than anybody and sing better than anybody. He's great.
See, I was totally unaware of how good he could sing until I heard him pull Halford and did
amazing.
Almost better than Halford. I mean, it was right up there in Halford's prime.
It is the man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No complaints there, man. Just a sweet guy. Even his wife, too. Just a great couple and just uber talent. Forget about it.
Yeah. Oozing.
Now, see, you said, yeah, 10 years at the Cat Club, and now you're working at the Aqua Lounge?
No, that's gone about a year and a half now.
Okay, I had to move my notes up. Okay, you worked at the Aqua Lounge for, what, about a year?
No, about
Less?
a few years.
Few years?
Right now, I've been doing like a monthly thing here and there at On the Rocks upstairs in the Roxy. The Haptones, we are performing a show this Wednesday night at On the Rocks on the Sunset Strip upstairs in the Roxy. My lineup for this, and this will be the 21-year anniversary of Happenin' Harry and the Haptones All-Star Band. And my lineup includes Matt Starr, who's now playing drums with Ace Frehley, Nick Lucero from Queens of the Stone Age and Peter Murphy's band, Jeff Duncan from Armored Saint, Tiny from TSOL and Head PE, Johnny Martin from the Cunninghams, who's now playing with Steven Adler, Greg Coates from the Bangkok Five and Dumb Love, Meeks from Coal Chamber, Michael Kenny, keyboard player of Iron Maiden, Billy Sheehan may attend, not confirmed yet, but he did play with us last month. Scotty Slam from Reach Around and Slack Babbitt. Steve Zing might even be in attendance from Sam Hain and Dan, who might be here from New York. Nick Ross from the Bullet Boys, Rowan Robertson from Dio, who also played in AM radio and Vast. And I actually got a text from Frank Hannon from Tesla who said he may be able to be in town for it.
Wow.
Yeah, and just, man, I can't tell you how grateful I am that these guys would even consider getting on a stage with my dumbass. But it's like, you know, we have just the best time. You know, everybody leaves their resume at the door, and they get to jam on stage with people that they've either never met or have never had the time to play with. You know, that's one thing I provide for those guys is, you know, a little bit of, you know, they get to clock out and, like, jam with their friends.
And have fun again.
Exactly. Because usually they cross paths on the tour in the middle of Montana on a day off or in the hotel lobby, but there's no venue at that particular time for them to, like, kick back, have a couple of drinks, and play rock and roll together. And that's what I provide.
Nice.
Man, I would love to go to that show.
Well, next time we go to Vegas, I'll drive.
That's happening this Wednesday night at On the Rocks, upstairs from the Roxy. Our 21-year anniversary party, and there's probably about 20 other Haptones from the past that'll show up. Also performing with us is the band Jay, Farrell Vinca, Cody Jones, and Steve Salisbury, as well as the Chris All-Star Band.
Now, I know Deanna/Vixen, our link queen, has been throwing links up for us. We can find you at, of course, you know, Happenin Harry at Facebook.
Yep.
There she goes, happeninharry.com.
Yeah, if you go to happeninharry.com, if you go to happeninharry.com, you'll see links for Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, everything. And budgenius.com is actually a company that I help run in California, which basically handles all the medical marijuana testing to make sure it's safe for patient consumption. Amazing company. So if you are an advocate of medical marijuana, go to budgenius.com, budgenius.com, and it's really educational, and it's really exciting what we're seeing in the future with this country. We might be able to supply a lot of jobs with this industry. Hopefully we'll get out of our debt.
Oh, we could get out of the debt so fast with that.
And also, antimusic.com, which basically is the biggest online music magazine in the world on the internet, Google certified, about 30 million plus hits a month.
Wow.
And they, antimusic.com, Kevin Wiggins, and they sponsor everything I do. They plug everything I touch. Also, yeah, I'll give a shout out to my sponsor, Embassy Skateboards, embassyskateboards.com, and Lee Leal, who was nice enough. I got him his first record deal in the business when he was a full-time musician, and he's the first person to ever bail me out of jail in Houston, Texas.
Wow.
What were you in jail for?
For fighting 4 guys from New York.
Oh, wow.
It's like everybody goes to jail in Texas.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I went to jail is because I'm a Yankee.
Oh, I feel you, bro.
Yeah, but we don't mind Yankees here.
Yeah.
We put up with y'all. Yeah, it's funny, you know, I was telling you, I'm originally from Louisiana. My mom is Cajun, and she jokingly calls my wife, you know, she says, "You're a Yankee, but you're a damn Yankee. You're part of the family now."
Yeah.
Nice.
It's almost like just a little bit of affection there.
Yeah.
Your mom's damn Yankee.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, you know, the new year is going to be exciting. As I said, myself and Eric Schrader, we're going to be starting to film, after months of research, the Riot documentary. The working title right now is "The Beginning Was the End," but that might be changed. I'm not sure. Where we'll be interviewing everybody in the business regarding Riot, Fire Down Under, and that era of the band and how influential they were to different bands. And also probably take some East Coast flights and do some research and film where it happened, when it happened, et cetera, and give this band finally the credit they deserve.
Now, I wanted to ask you about that, too. When y'all do the release, will it be something that'll go to theaters, or will it be...
It's pretty sure. I don't know. I mean, we're definitely on a tight budget. You know, documentaries don't cost a lot to make, but still there are expenses.
Right.
We're gonna, you know, we got costs incurred. We're gonna probably have to fly to New York and Florida, and maybe Arizona, and as well as, you know, film crews. Things cost money.
Yeah.
You know, we're basically going to do everything in house. Who knows? We might just submit it to Sundance and Tribeca film festivals, and every film festival, and see if a major bites. If a major bites, sure, I'm all for it. Because I plan on giving a cut of some of the proceeds and profits from this documentary to the surviving members of Riot. You know, and that's one thing I'll say right now, and I'll post publicly. You know, I don't know, we haven't figured out the strategy yet or the breakdowns or the percentages, but I definitely want, you know, the band Riot that from, you know, 1980 to 82 to make some money on this. You know, that's one of the reasons I'm doing it.
That's awesome.
You know, and you know, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't want people to think that this is another Anvil story, because it's not. You know, this lineup of Riot stopped playing together many years ago. And with the passing of Mark Reale this past year, and of course Guy Speranza passed away in 2003, you know, too much time has gone by. This is overdue. You know, this
way overdue.
This should have been something somebody was working on 10 years ago. I'm just the one that stepped up to the plate now and said, fuck this, let's do it. You know, I mean, this is bullshit. You know, people have great ideas, but, you know, I have a saying, it's like three birds are sitting on a fence. One decides to fly off. How many are left? 3. Making a decision doesn't mean you fucking did it.
Right.
We make thousands of decisions a day. It doesn't mean we fucking do it.
Right?
Never heard that before.
It's true.
It is true.
You know, and I made a decision and I'm taking action. We've already done some research. We're not stopping. Every day we're doing research on this thing, and more shit's being revealed, and it's not good. And I think it's going to be beneficial for everybody to see this. Not so Riot or the surviving members of that lineup can get sympathy. That's not what this is about. This is about, basically, there's a lot of bands that have come and gone since then, and we don't know why it happened or why it didn't happen. We're going to explain exactly what the fuck happened. And it'll give hope and hopefully teach new bands to make sure they read the fine print and make sure you have an attorney you can trust.
Yeah.
Because as I said earlier, in any industry, if you let someone fuck you, they're gonna. 30 years later, you shouldn't have to ask, oh shit, if you fuck me any longer, will that come with sand or KY?
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
And I just think it's unfair for people to profit off of misfortune of others. And this is a good example of that.
Agreed.
Very much agreed.
You know, this isn't just about Riot. This is bigger than Riot.
Right.
The focus point is this band and how I'm attracted to it, how I'm inspired by those records. But this is going to be a learning experience for a lot of people that have never heard of Riot. And if they never owned Fire Down Under, my sympathies. It's one of my top 20 records in the world.
It's a great album.
You know? As a kid singing in his garage when I was younger, man, I probably, you know, that Fire Down Under record is a part of my life. It's a part of Happenin' Harry and who I am. It'll always be. Just as big to me as Ronnie James Dio. Just as big to me as Bon Scott.
Right
This
on.
record was just as big to me as the first couple MSG records, UFO.
Hell yeah.
You know? Fire Down Under holds a very, very, very strong place in my heart for the time I was in discovering how cool it felt to be in a band with no politics. Unfortunately, while I was covering their songs, they were dealing with the horrors of the politics of the business. You know, and that's what we're gonna cover in the documentary. You know, we want them to get their platinum or gold record awards. This is ridiculous. It's 30 years later.
Well, it's definitely a story that needs to be told, and especially the circumstances surrounding it, you know. If it does save bands going through that kind of bullshit, you know,
teach them to avoid certain things, or yeah.
And people do need to hear about Riot. They were a badass fucking band.
Yeah, they were.
They're not alone. I mean, it's happened to a lot of bands. I just have a personal interest attached to this record and the band itself and that lineup. You know, it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
So I would love to see them get rewarded finally. You know,
They need to.
Yeah.
there's some pretty famous musicians out there and pretty famous bands who are inspired by the same record, and I'm going to get them on camera to tell me about it. You know.
I tell you, I can't wait until you get this done. So I want to watch this. I want to watch it now.
If it was available, you'd be scored.
Oh hell yes, I would. I'll tell you what, Harry. Why don't we go ahead and play a few more songs?
All right.
Let's see. We've got "Forever Say Die," "Sabbath Bloody Sabbath."
Yeah, let me remind everybody. Forever Say Die was a one-off project that I was asked to sing for a Black Sabbath compilation on Cleopatra Records several years ago. Features me on vocals, Joe Petro on bass, Timmy Usdui from London on drums, and Jeff Duncan from Armored Saint and Odin on guitar. And simply, it's a $400 cheap budget Sabbath cover.
But it sounds fucking awesome.
I'm not going to candy coat it. I did 2 takes. I screamed my ass off. We had fun doing it, and that's that.
And it shines through.
But it's Happenin' Harry's singing, me, on Sabbath Bloody Sabbath.
Now after that, I'm gonna play "UFO or Die."
No.
That's UFO.
Yeah, hot and ready.
Okay. Why you got "or Die" on
That's
there?
how it came tagged.
Oh. And we also have some Riot.
Yep.
"Swords and Tequila."
Fuck yeah.
So,
Which is a great song.
hell yes it is. So stick around, guys and gals, whoever you are out there in the chat room and listener land. You listen to Brutiful Metal Radio, Bullshit with Bob show, and you're here with Happenin' Harry. Stick around.
And here's a couple of songs that are my favorites. Not the one I'm singing on. I think we suck. But, you know, the UFO and the UFO and the Riot, listen up. Killer stuff. Killer! Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Busy. Fuck you.
Welcome back, people. We are here at the Brutiful Metal Radio Bullshit with Bob show, talking with Happenin' Harry.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, welcome.
Now,
For those of you at home listening, I'm calling Mark Spillane, a friend of mine who just logged on from Australia, and I'm attempting to embarrass him on the air, but he's not picking up.
Maybe he's wearing to your evil plan.
Speaking of Australia, I'm going to give a shout out to Jamal Bookaboo down under. What the bloody hell's going on, mate?
Maybe he'll come on and answer.
Yeah, you just played Swords and Tequila, yeah?
Yep.
That song's going out to Sandy Slavin. Yeah, drummer of Riot.
Right on, brother. Old dark black death dude and stuff said, "Vixen, would you get that cat?"
Twitch.
All right, what's next? I'm sitting here and no answer. What's going on?
Oh, we're sitting here looking at what's going on in the chat room. Got Darks making fun of Vix. Now,
Let's entertain the listeners. Let's do something.
Now, like you were talking about, the 21st anniversary, you're going to have loads of people. That's this Wednesday coming. You also got a big soiree planned for New Year's.
Nope.
I thought you said you had something going on New Year's.
I don't have anything going on New Year's.
I must have misheard.
Maybe.
My guess.
The only thing I don't have a date on that's going to happen in November is my, I think it's, hold on, 11th annual, Happenin' Harry's 11th annual pajama lingerie toga party. I don't know where it's going to be yet, though.
Oh, cool. Woo! Those are wild times.
Oh, she's talking about the little cat in her room.
Yeah.
Walking on the keyboard.
Yeah. Darkwood.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another cat here, Harry, that likes to climb the curtains. Is still a youngster.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's 1,000 miles an hour. It's either sleeping or it's wide fucking open. There's no middle ground with this cat.
Hey, if I would have known we were going to be live on the air talking about pussy, I would have invited some girls over.
Ooh.
Well, hell yeah. I'm a flaming lesbian. I love me some pussy.
Hey, if your girl left you for another girl, would you hold the door open for both of them?
I'll hold whatever the fuck they want me to.
So what else can we cover?
We spoke about Bud Genius.
Yeah, budgenius.com. Go check it out.
We've gave out all the links.
Yeah.
And, well, what else do you feel like bullshitting about?
Come find me on Facebook, Happenin Harry. Nothing. I'm going to be at the Rainbow tonight about 9 o'clock with some friends I'm entertaining from Chicago.
Come by and say hi.
Jennifer Jackson and Justin Lack. I mentioned them. There you go. And Conrado, one of the guitar players of the Haptones, is going to be joining us. We're going to talk some business. I'll have tickets for our show this Wednesday night. Come and get them. And, oh yeah, let's give a shout out to Jerry Gittleson from the Daily News in Los Angeles, who wants to take credit for discovering me, but I won't let him.
Well, here's some...
He was at the very first Haptone show.
Ah.
Here goes some off-the-wall questions we normally ask. Growing up as a child, what was your favorite cartoon character?
Marvin the Martian.
Right on.
That little dude was... God, it brings back memories.
Stop, Earthling, or I'll shoot you with my space modulator.
Right on.
Now, what was the first band that really got you into, rock and roll and led you to this path that you're at now?
Wow. That's kind of blurry, because when I was really, really young, I really didn't listen to rock and roll. I listened more to a lot of Spinners, Spinners was a group I listened to a lot, and pretty much when it was on the radio, just the top 40 stuff, as well as funk and Motown. So, I mean, as far as the first rock bands, I mean, I'd have to say, my first record wasn't even a rock album. My first record was a Donnie and Marie record.
Wow.
Believe it or not. And I'd say first rock band, I'd have to go with AC/DC. I'd have to, that was probably the most impact on me being influenced by rock at the time as a kid. But since then, there's been hundreds of acts. I can narrow down my favorite albums, but I can't really tell you which one made the biggest impact. Though I've been known to be the hugest UFO fan around, so of course that ties into the Scorpions and the Michael Schenker group as well. That's a tough one. I'd have to, I guess, if I'm on the spot, I'd have to say probably AC/DC. But once you think about it, even the early Bon Scott stuff, I don't really, though they cross to the rock category, they're a blues band.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to say.
Now, since you mentioned the Scorps, I saw some pictures circulating. You just got off tour with the Scorps.
Yeah, I went out and hung out for a little bit. My voice actually introduces the Scorpions.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that a great time?
Oh, of course, they're great guys.
Oh.
I mean, you know, they're cool. I
mean, the big tours are just so fun.
Now, big or not, I mean, the Scorps are just great guys.
Yeah.
You know? And I met them for the first time in 1983, and years later, my voice introduces them. When you see the Scorpions live anywhere in the world, that's my voice bringing them out on stage.
That's fucking cool.
That's like a dream come true.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
So millions and millions of people get to hear Happenin' Harry.
I got to check and see if my gold record came in from Rudolph.
Right? Now, you know, like everybody, is there a musician or an actor or anyone that you have not met yet that you would like to, that would make you starstruck?
That's a good question. I hate to admit it, but a lot of those people that I would mention are now dead. But one person I'd love to meet would be Peter O'Toole, as far as actors. He'd probably intimidate the shit out of me.
I can dig it.
I just think he's one of the most brilliant actors in the world.
He is.
As far as musicians, fuck. That's a tough one, man. It's not that I don't respect musicians that are alive, just the ones that I would be starstruck by. But, you know, you surround yourself with this for 30 years plus, you really don't get starstruck. You know what I mean? It's like, I was at the dinner a couple weeks ago, and Mickey Rourke was a couple tables over. It didn't faze me, you know, but I think he's a great actor, you know. I don't know. I'd have to think about the musician one.
No, I hear you. Working in Vegas, I worked for a lot of different kinds of acts and entertainers, and I believe one of the very nicest people I had the acquaintance of was Robert Goulet back in the day.
La 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 la.
Yeah. He was a real dude, man. He was just so cool.
You know, however, I'll be honest, I'd like to meet Neil Diamond. I would.
Yeah.
I've met everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I sat on a couch at a friend's house next to Steven Tyler telling me stories about how he ran out on stage in Texas singing Mamakin with a needle hanging out of his arm. I mean, I've had some pretty cool conversations with some icons, you know what I mean, and very social settings. And it's hard to say, man. I mean, though I wasn't starstruck, I mean, I was probably 19 or 20 when I met Steven, and though I wasn't starstruck, I was in awe because he was actually talking to me. He wasn't reciting a script that he tells a fan whenever he sees him. You know what I mean? We were having a conversation, and it was really cool. It was a great experience. But I've got a lot of those experiences. You know, it's like John Belushi is one of them, but of course that's not possible. Maybe Bill Murray or Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
You know, I've met Dan Aykroyd. He was really nice.
Steve Martin would be awesome.
I met James Brown before he passed. He was cool. I've met Boy George. I mean, you know what I mean? I've met a lot of people that were really nice. But once again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. When people are on the clock and they have to meet people, they're already prepped to being nice to you and saying hello and acting grateful. But what I consider special is like sitting next to people on a couch at a friend's house that you don't get a chance to see ever.
Right.
You know? you know, because I've been in radio and television, and I've met people as they went down the line and thanked you for having them on their show or whatnot, you know, and that was cool, you know. You know, I met Axl many times over the past however many years since the 80s, and he's always been cool. He's always been the same guy every time I met him. You know, he's come to one of my shows actually a couple times, and we came to a couple of them, and he was always nice, you know. Met with the fans, talked to the fans, you know.
Which is very cool, because we hear stuff on the contrary so much about poor Axl.
You know, that stuff is all bullshit.
A lot of people just, you know, hang on the negative, you know.
Hear me out. Listen, you take away the occupation, and you deal with the person, okay? When you're bombarded on a regular basis, and you're an icon in music, and you get everybody from acting ridiculous to acting shy to treating you with respect, you got to understand, a lot of common denominators in these personalities called fans or not are hungry to meet you. It can be scary.
Yeah.
I've got a great Axl story. I'll tell it right now, and it's not a long story. I was doing a show on a Sunday night at the Cat Club about 7 years ago, and I was talking to a couple girls from Germany out in front of my club. What I didn't realize is, while I was having that discussion, a guy walked up to the front door of security and said, "Is Harry here?" And he pointed over to me having a conversation, and walked behind. I couldn't see him. Walked up and waited behind me until I was done having my conversation, and then tapped me on the shoulder. It was Axl.
Oh, wow.
And this was in front of the club, and other people are hanging around, and nobody really recognized. And it's before, you know, he had the braids in, and a lot of people didn't recognize him at that point because there weren't pictures floating around yet. And he tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around, and I took a step back, and I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing here?" And he kind of, you know, he didn't laugh, but he kind of grimaced, and he's like, you know, and he asked me, he goes, "Are you playing tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Can I come in?" I'm like, "Of course."
Yeah.
So I walked in. I walked him to the bar. I got him a sparkling soda water, and he stood at the bar. And some fans recognized him, too scared to approach him. But the ones that kind of like creeped up, you know, afraid of what would happen, he was super sweet. Took pictures with me. He signed a couple of autographs, and nobody bombarded with him. He was comfortable in the element. You know what I mean?
Cool.
And therefore, you will not get any bad reports. But what impressed me the most was the respect. He didn't go up to the security guy, not seeing me out front, a ways down, and say, "I'm Axl Rose. Can I come in?" He didn't do that. He walked up to the door guy and asked for me, and then proceeded over to me and asked if I was singing. But he waited for me to be done speaking to two other people before he did it.
Wow.
Now, you tell me, if somebody would have done disrespectful things in that window, he would have done disrespectful things back. But it was really fucking cool. He owes me nothing. I played with members of his band over the years. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I should be paying him. He was really cool, and he's always been cool. He's always been generous. He's always been nice. He's never gone out of his way to be vindictive or an asshole. And that's why when I hear all this shit and people bash Axl that don't even know him or ever met him, it's like, the reason he doesn't retaliate to that baby shit is because it's insignificant.
Yeah, it ain't worth his time.
It's not. You'll never see him, you know, going on to defend himself against somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Right. That makes perfect sense.
It does.
For the same reason, I don't try and discuss something important with somebody who's inebriated.
Yeah. Waste of time, man.
You're wasting your breath.
And bottom line, people can judge us all they want. But the fact is he's the boss. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. It's his company.
True that.
Yeah.
The ground, he could shut the doors, never do one show again, or he could do shows as much as he wants, and show up when he wants. He's the boss.
Yeah.
If he wants to keep banker's hours, that's on him. It's none of our business. You know, it's like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, people just want to hang on the negative, and that's all they want, you know. And
well, they're bored because they want something to talk about.
Negativity, you know.
They get a celebrity and seem like they know what they're talking about, which is the big facade because they don't. They feel important.
Right.
Usually the people who bullshit the most and complain the most are people who nobody gives a shit about.
You're right about that one.
But something, yeah, it's funny. Yesterday, I talked to, I know Tom Zutaut, who's a big A&R guy. He signed Metallica, G&R, Motley. And here's something for your listeners. I think Tom and I are going to be doing a radio show.
Wow.
We've been discussing it for about 6 months. We just haven't been in the same city at the same time as often as we'd like to put some reels together to present to satellite radio and terrestrial radio alike. But the premise is basically going to be Tom Zutaut and his, music industry expertise. And here comes Happenin' Harry. So basically, he's like the Dr. Drew, and I'm the Adam Carolla.
That's going to be awesome to listen to.
He'll give you good experience and knowledge. I'll tell you that you were a fucking idiot for trying to think so in the first place. But we're also, during this radio program, which we're still doing treatments for and mapping out, we're going to have a segment called Dear Uncle Ronnie. And it's going to be Ron Jeremy reading a letter for advice on every show. So you got Tom Zutaut, Ron Jeremy, Ask Uncle Ronnie, who's going to do a segment every program, and Happenin' Harry. And guess what the show's going to be called?
Tell us.
Tom, Dick, and Harry.
I'm going to tune in.
Hopefully it'll be on the airwaves by the beginning of the year.
Wow, keep us posted, man.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Tom, Dick, and Harry.
I love it. Oh, jeez.
Well, Harry, we're going to go ahead and I guess wrap this one on up unless anything else you want to put out there real quick.
Yeah. Everybody vote November 6th. I'll tell you what I'll do right now in the chat room. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
I'm going to post the link. If you don't know if you're registered to vote, if you don't know, if you're whatever your reason is for not voting, being lazy or whatever, it's important that you vote and do a little bit of research because our country's going through some changes. And though I don't personally smoke, I believe that medical marijuana being legalized across the country is going to get us out of debt. Our country is falling hard.
Yes.
You can't trust the media and what they tell you. The only times they tell you we're doing bad is when somebody wants to vote.
Or they want to make the other guy look bad.
Yeah, when it's just bullshit.
It's beneficial for someone.
The bottom line is this. You need to vote because there's other important issues that need to be passed so we can make money again. We become a consumer nation. It's killing this country. We're not buying anything anymore. So I'm going to go to your message board right now. Where is it? There we go. And I'm posting a link. You can go on this link. You can see if you're registered to vote. It'll only take a couple minutes. And then if you're not registered to vote, follow the links and you can register online.
Oh.
That is awesome.
Okay? So let's legalize marijuana right away. And you got to vote in order to be a part of this thing.
Yeah.
So one third of our country's population lives in a marijuana legal state. Okay? It's supplying thousands of jobs right now. Okay? And we keep it medical, we keep it tested, we keep it regulated, begin regulation, which would be nice. You won't be able to provide jobs for everybody. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Is manufacturing shit in the country. Talk overseas. Let's do buy American, please. Let the people Jesus Christ. So go to budgenius.com as well. That's our company website. Go to happeninharry.com, antimusic.com, embassyskateboards.com. Make a difference. Keep it American. Keep it working right here.
You know, me and Buffy have talked about this quite a few times, how we don't make anything anymore, you know, or whatever's made, no one buys. Everyone wants to buy imports, you know, cars or, you know, whatever. But we need to bring the money back here.
American muscle cars, hemp clothing.
Yep.
We did it before with hemp.
Now, Dark, I know who you're voting for. I'm voting for the same person.
Well, wait a minute. There's three choices, as far as I can tell. There's Obama, there's Mitt Romney, and Governor Gary Johnson.
That's who we're voting for.
You're voting for Gary Johnson?
Yes, we are.
Wow, good for you.
Myself and Dark, that dark black death dude from hell and stuff.
He's all about Gary Johnson.
We are both voting for Gary Johnson. In fact, if you're in this household, you better vote for Gary Johnson.
Wow, good for you. Now, why don't you plug his website so people can see what their options are?
Go ahead. I don't know it offhand. If you know it,
I don't.
Keith, do you know it? Lay it on us, Dark Dude.
Yeah, Keith, go ahead and throw it up there, buddy.
Why don't you open up a link? I'll do a search. Hold on.
It's hard for us to do that while we stream live. It just takes too much of the power away. And
I lost that.
You're down.
No. Went girls out.
Well, come on around here and meet Happenin Harry. Come on.
Come on.
No.
Come on.
Come on.
Harry, call her over.
Hi.
Come on.
Come here.
I'm the only candidate who doesn't want to bomb Iran. I am the only candidate that wants to get out of Afghanistan now. Bring the troops home.
That's Deanna right there, Harry. Kneel back down.
I'm camera shy.
Thanks, Gary Johnson.
He's listening to
Be
Gary.
libertarian with me for one election. You're free.
I know Death Dude's grooving. He's all about Gary Johnson.
Hell yeah, we all
He's
are.
trying to make converts every day. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. He's got it up there. Facebook.com, Gary Johnson for president.
America today is no longer the land of the free and the hope of rain. It is the land of governments spying and scrutiny citizens without their knowledge. It is a land where you can get arrested without charges and detained indefinitely without a phone call or a trial. This is the land Republicans and Democrats built. The America of Barack Obama. The America.
There you go. I just sent it to you on Skype.
Right on.
Dark Dude's laying it in chat, too.
GaryJohnson2012.com. I wish he was at the debates.
Oh, yeah. Wow, it doesn't even show it on there, does it?
Mm-mm.
It shows the tried conversation with Mark Spillane, but nothing else.
Let me see. No, that's the
Click
contest.
chat.
Huh. Oh.
Click the chat icon.
Oh, it's in there.
For some reason it didn't show up.
Uh-uh.
It may be lagging.
Yeah. Deanna lost her net, so we're probably fixing to fall off. The cowards won't debate him, Dark says.
This is the revolution. No more Republicans, no more Democrats. Americans. That's what we need. Americans. Nobody finger pointing. Nobody blaming the other guy and making Americans suffer for it.
Go check out USA Fund at Facebook. We as Americans can help each other and get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're putting too much reliability on the presidential candidates. You know, meanwhile, everybody's too fucking lazy, or they don't know what step to take. The beginning step is voting, period. But we all have to make a difference. We can't rely on a president to change the world for us. It's not going to happen.
Nope.
You know, it's got to start here.
Yeah.
People have to lobby. People have to go and voice their, voice as an American what they want. You know? Meanwhile, other people, they just sit on the couch and watch it happen on TV. They're not helping.
Oh, they do a lot of complaining, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like anything else I told you. It's like, usually the people who complain don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
They don't have the experience.
They won't do their research.
But it is a crying ass shame that the country's gone to this.
Yeah. Well, hey, guys, thanks for having me. It's been a slice.
It's been real fun. Thank you, Harry, for hanging with us and sharing your stories and everything that you do.
Thank you very much. I'll be back.
Yes.
Oh, please. Man, you're welcome back anytime. You're part of the Brutiful family now.
Nice.
I want to thank everybody that's been tuning in. Everybody's been hanging in chat and appreciate you guys. Everybody supports this show. Thank you all. And without you guys, we can't do it.
I want to thank everybody for listening too.
Yay.
And Harry, I'm serious. Whenever you guys get close to the end of production and everything on the documentary, please let us know because we will push that out. I mean,
awesome.
We will push it hardcore, and I'll be waiting on pins and needles for real to watch that.
And everybody go vote Gary Johnson 2012. Save America. We as Americans can do it.
Even if you don't vote Gary Johnson, get off your ass and vote. Let your voice be heard somehow. But Harry, thanks again. I know you're a really busy dude. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule.
You have a good time tonight, Harry.
To come here and bullshit. Yeah, man. Have you a great time tonight, bro.
Thanks, Harry.
Thanks, you guys. Everybody come see the Haptones. We're playing this Wednesday night upstairs in the Roxy Theater on Sunset.
Be there or be square.
Yeah, don't be an asshole. Show up.
Now, I've got some more tunes coming up. I've got some Cold Chamber, Shock the Monkey. I've got...
Oh, shit.
I got
Meigs, yeah, by the way, everybody, Meigs from Cold Chamber was supposed to join me here for this, and he blew me off. He forgot what day it was on.
Well,
Tell him thanks.
tell him to come back anytime.
Anytime, man. I've also got some George Lynch, Son of Scary, and Rat, You Think You're Tough. So stick around, people. We're going to be here for a while. Harry, thanks a lot, buddy. Sure appreciate
Thanks,
it, man.
guys. Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thanks,
good night.
Harry.
Stay online a second, Harry.
All right.
In this dark and light, I see you. You can never hide from me. My soul is placed before you. Take it, rape it, time to be. There is one promise I will make. This won't be quick. Take a little bit, take a lot. You'll sacrifice in my blood. Take a little bit, take a lot. Your crimes are useless, you forgot. Thank